What if everything you've been feeling, the confusion, the emptiness, the fear, isn't because something is wrong with you, but because a part of you has been ignored for too long? What if the reason you feel lost isn't that life is against you, but that you've been living for everyone else except yourself? What if the habits, fears, and walls you think define you are actually the echoes of pain you never faced? And what if the very thing you've been running from, your own truth, is the key to finally feeling alive, free, and in control of your life? Stay with me, because in the next few minutes, we're going to uncover the hidden reason behind your trauma, why you feel lost, and how you can finally reclaim the life that's been waiting for you all along. What if the moment that changed your entire life was so silent, so ordinary, that you didn't even realize it shattered something inside you? Maybe it wasn't a big tragedy. Maybe it was the day your voice was ignored, the moment your tears were called dramatic, the time you reached for help and found nobody there. Trauma doesn't always arrive like a storm. Sometimes it slips in like a shadow that never leaves. One small moment becomes too heavy for your heart to hold, so instead of expressing it, you hide it. You bury it. You convince yourself it didn't matter. But that unnoticed moment becomes the root of everything you can't explain today. What if the reason you overthink every conversation, panic in silence, or feel unworthy even when people love you is because that buried pain is still alive inside you? You didn't remove it. You just learned to live around it. You smile through it. You work through it. You grow up. But that moment grows with you. You don't recognize it anymore, but it recognizes you. It shapes your reactions, your fears, your relationships, your choices. It rewrites your identity without asking for permission. Think about how shocking this truth is. The human mind doesn't forget what the heart couldn't handle. So the moment your heart broke, your mind built a wall, not to protect you, but to keep the pain from drowning everything else inside you. And behind that wall, a version of you remains stuck in time, frozen, unheard, unseen. That version of you is still waiting for safety, waiting for someone to say, "I'm listening now." But no one comes. No one even knows that part of you exists. So you become your own ghost, present, functioning, surviving, but never truly living. What if the habits you call just who I am are actually survival patterns created by a younger you who didn't know how else to endure? The fear of opening up, the need to please others, the tendency to shut down, the urge to stay quiet. None of these are your personality. They are emotional scars masquerading as traits. And the scariest part? You've carried them for so long that you started believing they were normal. What if the moment you think, "nothing happened to me," is exactly the moment your trauma was born? What if feeling lost wasn't a sign that you're failing, but a signal that you've been running from yourself for years? What if every time you felt confused, stuck, or empty, it wasn't because life is against you, but because a part of you is trying desperately to get your attention? Most of us spend our entire lives chasing goals, following routines, and meeting expectations, thinking that success or approval will fill the emptiness inside. But the truth is far more shocking. The emptiness is not outside you. It's inside, and it's trying to speak. It's your inner self calling out for the parts of you that you abandoned while surviving life. Think about it. How many times have you made decisions that felt right to everyone else but wrong to you? How often have you ignored your own instincts to satisfy someone else's idea of who you should be? Every time you silenced your own desires, every time you sacrificed your joy for someone else's comfort, you left a piece of yourself behind. And those missing pieces don't vanish, they accumulate. They whisper in quiet moments, creating a constant sense of being lost, like wandering through life without a map, even when the path seems clear. What if the reason you feel lost is not because you don't know your purpose, but because you've been living someone else's version of life? The shocking part is that you may have convinced yourself it's your own choice, but it's really the echo of expectations, fears, and past conditioning. Your soul doesn't recognize it, your heart doesn't feel it, and your mind tries to rationalize it with logic that never reaches the truth. And what if this feeling of being lost is actually a gift in disguise? What if this discomfort, this inner unrest is the universe nudging you to look inward, to reclaim what you lost, to finally meet the version of yourself you abandoned? You've been searching everywhere for answers, in work, in people, in distractions, but the only place that holds the truth is inside. Your confusion, your emptiness, your restless wandering is a signal, not a problem. It's a sign that the life you're living doesn't align with the life you were meant to live, and only by facing yourself, honestly, can you find the direction you've been longing for. What if the very thing you fear, facing yourself, is the exact thing that will finally lead you home? What if the reason you can't move forward in life isn't because you lack talent, opportunity, or willpower, but because trauma has disguised itself as who you think you are? What if every habit, fear, or emotional distance you've struggled with is not just random, but the invisible footprint of pain that you never acknowledged? Most people spend years thinking their struggles are personality flaws, that they are too anxious, too distant, too broken, when in reality, these patterns are simply the echoes of trauma your mind and body have stored to protect you. It's shocking to realize that the you've been trying to fix might actually be a version shaped by hidden wounds. Think about it. Why do certain experiences trigger you more than others? Why do some words hurt like knives while others barely touch you? Why do you find it almost impossible to fully trust or let yourself be vulnerable? The answer isn't weakness. The answer is unprocessed trauma. Your brain learned early that certain emotions, it's the result of years spent denying who you really are, chasing a version of life that was never yours to live. Think about it. How often have you made decisions because someone else said it was right, rather than listening to your own instincts? How many dreams have you pushed aside because society, family, or friends told you they were impractical, impossible, or unnecessary? Every time you ignored your inner voice, you put yourself further away from your own path, and the distance accumulates until one day you wake up feeling completely lost. That sense of being adrift isn't a punishment. It's a wake-up call. What if the fears, anxieties, and frustrations you experience aren't flaws, but signposts pointing to the parts of yourself you abandoned? You might think the solution is to work harder, try more, or force yourself to fit in, but none of that works because the root cause hasn't been addressed. You can decorate your life with achievements, distractions, and approvals, yet the inner void remains. The reason is simple and shocking. You've been living externally, not internally. You've been following expectations, not listening to the quiet but powerful voice of your own truth. And what if this very feeling of being lost is actually a blessing in disguise? What if life is giving you a chance to finally pause, reflect, and ask yourself the most important question: who am I when no one else is watching and no one else's rules apply? The moment you start facing that question, the discomfort, confusion, and fear begin to transform into clarity, courage, and direction. What if everything you've been chasing, approval, validation, success, is not what will make you feel alive, but what you've been avoiding within yourself is? The truth is simple yet shocking. You will only find your way when you stop trying to live according to expectations and start reconnecting with the life that belongs to you, the life that has been waiting quietly for your return. What if the moment you stop running from your pain is the moment your life finally begins? What if all the fear, sadness, anger, and confusion you've been trying to escape are not enemies, but messengers pointing you toward freedom? Most people spend years avoiding their pain, distracting themselves with work, social media, or achievements, believing that ignoring it will make it disappear. But the shocking truth is that pain never truly goes away. It waits quietly, shaping your thoughts, decisions, and relationships from the shadows, often without you realizing it. Think about the times you reacted strongly to something small, or felt inexplicably anxious, or withdrew from someone you care about. Those moments are not random. They are echoes of pain you never faced, reminders that your inner wounds still exist. When we try to escape pain, we also escape understanding ourselves. We cover it with habits, distractions, or even people. But the moment we pause, it hits us again, louder and more persistent, demanding to be seen. What if the reason so many of us feel empty, stuck, or unfulfilled is because we treat trauma and pain like enemies instead of teachers. Pain isn't a sign of weakness. It's a sign that something inside you is alive, waiting for recognition. By avoiding it, you prolong confusion, heartbreak, and the feeling of being lost. The shock lies in realizing that the very thing you fear facing, your own emotional truth, is the key to freedom, clarity, and growth. And what if listening to your pain doesn't mean reliving it endlessly, but learning from it? Every tear, every memory, every fear contains a message. Pain teaches you boundaries, self-compassion, and resilience. It shows you what has been suppressed, neglected, or denied. By sitting with it instead of fleeing, you allow your heart to process, your mind to understand, and your soul to heal. This is the part most people miss. Healing doesn't come from ignoring the hurt, it comes from embracing it long enough to let it transform you. What if the next time you feel fear, sadness, or loss, you paused and asked, "What is this trying to teach me?" The answers lie not outside, but inside you. And the moment you finally listen, you stop running from yourself. You reclaim your energy, and the life you've been longing for begins to unfold naturally, almost effortlessly, as a result of the courage to feel, not the courage to hide. What if the key to finding your life, your peace, and your purpose isn't about becoming stronger, smarter, or more disciplined, but about finally being honest with yourself? What if all the pretending, all the masks, all the roles you've played to survive, please, or protect others have been quietly stealing your sense of direction and joy? Most people believe growth comes from effort, from willpower, from pushing harder. But the shocking truth is that the most powerful transformation happens when you stop lying to yourself. When you stop ignoring what you truly feel, think, and want. Think about how many moments you've compromised who you are just to fit in, avoid conflict, or meet expectations. Every yes you said when you wanted to say no. Every silence you kept when your heart screamed for expression. Every choice made for approval rather than authenticity. They created invisible chains. And over time, these chains make life feel heavy, confusing, and directionless. You may have everything on paper, yet still feel lost, because your inner world is out of alignment with your outer life. What if the reason you feel disconnected, unfulfilled, or stuck isn't because the world is against you, but because you haven't been truthful with yourself about your desires, fears, and needs? The mind can rationalize anything. The heart can suffer in silence, but the body, soul, and spirit remember. They remember every compromise, every lie, every time you ignored your inner voice. And the more you ignore it, the louder life becomes in forcing you to confront it, often in ways that feel uncomfortable, painful, or shocking. And what if embracing honesty isn't about admitting weakness, but reclaiming your power? The moment you stop pretending and start listening to yourself, you begin to break free from patterns that kept you trapped. You start to understand why certain relationships drain you, why certain paths feel empty, and why certain dreams won't come alive until you honor your truth. Being honest with yourself doesn't remove the challenges of life, but it changes your relationship with them. What if everything you've been searching for, clarity, peace, direction, joy, has been waiting patiently for you to stop running from yourself? The shocking revelation is that the journey to reconnecting with life isn't through external achievements, but through inner authenticity. And the moment you choose honesty over comfort, alignment over approval, and self-awareness over denial, life stops feeling heavy and confusing and finally begins to feel like yours again. As we reflect on the root causes of trauma and why we feel lost in life, it becomes clear that the answers we've been searching for aren't outside of us. They've been inside all along. Every moment of pain, every habit, every fear has been trying to guide us back to ourselves, back to the truths we ignored, back to the life we were always meant to live. Healing, clarity, and purpose don't come from running away, fixing, or forcing. They come from pausing, listening, and embracing the parts of us we've left behind. Remember, feeling lost is not a weakness. It is a signal, a call to reconnect with your authentic self. Trauma may shape us, but it doesn't define us. The courage to face your pain, to honor your truth, and to be honest with yourself is the path that leads to freedom, fulfillment, and a life that feels genuinely yours. So take a deep breath, trust your journey, and know that every step toward understanding yourself is a step toward reclaiming your life. Good luck on this journey of self-discovery, growth, and healing. Thank you for allowing yourself the courage to listen, to feel, and to begin again.